The Galactic Union medical ship Cold Serenity's Grace was floating through the Corvin Nebula when the distress signal came through. The signal was weak and broken, but it was definitely a call for help. Chief Medical Officer Velrith heard the alarm and walked quickly to the bridge. He was a Thraxian, a species known for their silver scales and 4 arms. His people had been doctors and healers for thousands of years. Velrith had seen many terrible things in his long career, but nothing could have prepared him for what they were about to find. His assistant Narala was already at the controls. She was a small creature with wings like glass and large dark eyes. Her wings moved nervously as she read the information on her screen. "The signal is coming from Sector 9, she said. "That area is very dangerous. The Drekker hunt ships there." Velrith knew about the Drekker. Everyone in the galaxy knew about them. They were raiders and slavers, cruel beings who attacked weaker ships and took their crews as prisoners. Many species feared them more than death itself. "What kind of ship is sending the signal?" Velrith asked. "A human cargo shuttle. The name is the Wandering Star. I am reading only one life sign, and it is very weak." Velrith made his decision quickly. "Change our course. We must help them." The journey to the damaged ship took several hours. When they finally arrived, Velrith felt his heart sink. The Wandering Star was destroyed. Its hull was torn open in many places. Burn marks covered what remained of the outer shell. Debris floated in the empty space around it like the bones of some great dead animal. "How can anyone be alive in there?" Narala whispered. Velrith did not answer. He simply ordered the boarding team to prepare. They found the survivor in what had once been the main control room. The human male was lying in a pool of his own blood. His left arm was gone below the elbow, cut clean by something sharp. Burns covered most of his back and shoulders, so severe that the skin had turned black in places. 3 of his ribs had broken through his chest. His right leg was crushed beneath a heavy piece of metal. Velrith had seen death many times. He knew what a dying creature looked like. This human should have been dead already. By every medical understanding, his body should have stopped working hours ago. But then the human opened his eyes. They were blue, like the sky of some peaceful world. And they were clear, focused, alert. "My name is Cole Bradley," the human said. His voice was rough and weak, but his words were steady. "My crew. Did you find my crew?" Velrith looked at his team. They had searched the entire ship. There were no other survivors. The cargo hold had been broken open during the attack, and there were signs that other beings had been taken. The Drekker did not kill when they could capture instead. Living prisoners were worth more than dead bodies. "You must rest," Velrith said gently. "We will talk about this later." But Cole's hand, his only remaining hand, reached out and grabbed Velrith's arm. The grip was strong, much stronger than it should have been from someone so badly hurt. "They took them," Cole said. "The Drekker. They took my people. 7 of them. I need to find them." Then his eyes closed and he became still. The medical team rushed Cole to the ship's healing bay. Velrith worked through the entire night cycle, fighting to save this strange human's life. He had treated wounded beings from over 40 different species in his career. He had seen soldiers and warriors and survivors of terrible accidents. But he had never seen anything like Cole Bradley. "His body is fighting the medicine," Narala reported, watching her screens with growing confusion. "The drugs that should make him sleep are not working. His heart is beating so fast that it should have failed by now. Humans produce something called adrenaline," Velrith explained as he carefully removed pieces of metal from Cole's body. "It is a chemical that their bodies make when they are in great danger. I have read about it in medical texts, but I have never seen it work like this." "There is more," Narala said. "Look at these readings. His bones are almost 3 times harder than normal. His muscles are built differently than any species I have studied. How is this possible? He looks so soft and weak. Velrith paused in his work and looked at the unconscious human. Cole Bradley was not a large man. He was average in height, with brown hair that was now dark with dried blood. His face might have been kind and friendly before all of this happened. Looking at him, anyone would think he was fragile, breakable, easy to kill. But the medical data told a different story. Velrith thought about what he knew of humans. They came from a planet called Earth, a world that seemed ordinary in most ways. They had only joined the galactic community a few generations ago. Most species considered them minor players in the great game of the universe. They were traders and explorers, not fighters. They were soft and emotional, not hard and strong. Or so everyone believed. What metal is this human made from? Velrith asked quietly, more to himself than to anyone else. He worked for many more hours, repairing damage that would have killed any other creature. He had to remove what remained of Cole's left arm, cutting it clean to prevent infection. He fixed bleeding inside the human's body in 4 different places. He set 7 broken bones and treated burns that covered almost half of Cole's skin. When he finally finished, Velrith was exhausted. He sat beside the healing bed and watched the human breathe. In and out. In and out. Still alive. Still fighting. Narala brought him a drink and sat down beside him. Will he survive? She asked. I do not know, Velrith admitted. By all logic, he should already be dead. But this human seems to have no interest in logic. He kept talking about his crew, Narala said softly. Even when he was dying, all he could think about was them. Velrith nodded slowly. I have noticed this about humans before. They form very strong connections with each other. They will do remarkable things for the people they care about. Remarkable and foolish things, Narala added. Perhaps, Velrith agreed. Or perhaps we simply do not understand them as well as we think we do. He looked at Cole Bradley one more time before leaving to rest. The human's chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm. His face, even in sleep, showed determination. Like he was fighting a battle even in his dreams. Velrith had lived for many years and seen many wonders across the galaxy. But he had a feeling that this human would show him something new. Something that would change the way he thought about the universe and the creatures who lived in it. He just did not know yet how right he was. Cole Bradley opened his eyes on the 3rd day. Velrith had expected him to sleep for weeks, maybe months. The injuries he had suffered were so severe that most species would need a long time in a healing pod just to have a chance at survival. Some would never wake up at all. Their bodies would simply give up, too damaged to continue. But Cole did not just wake up. He sat up in his bed like he had only been taking a short nap. I need to find my crew, he said. Velrith rushed into the recovery room when the alarms told him his patient was moving. He found Cole already swinging his legs over the side of the bed. The human was pale and thin, covered in bandages and healing patches. His left arm ended in a wrapped stump. Burns still marked, his skin in angry red patterns. But his eyes were alive, determined, focused on something far beyond the walls of this medical bay. You cannot move, Velrith said, all 4 of his arms waving in alarm. Your body has suffered terrible damage. You need rest. You need time to heal. You need therapy for your mind and your body. Cole ignored him. He stood up. He swayed for a moment, nearly falling. Then he caught himself on the bed frame and straightened his back. His remaining hand gripped the metal so hard that Velrith could see the muscles in his arm tighten like ropes. How long was I asleep? Cole asked. 3 standard cycles. About 72 hours in Earth time. Then they are still alive. Cole took a step forward. His right leg, the one that had been crushed, dragged slightly. But he adjusted his weight and took another step. The Drekker do not kill their prisoners right away. They keep them for work, for trade, for their sick games. I have maybe 4 more days before they reach a place where I cannot follow. Velrith stepped in front of him. Listen to me. You have 1 arm. You have burns covering half your body. You can barely walk. What do you think you can possibly do? Cole met his eyes. There was no anger in his face, no wild emotion. Just a calm certainty that Velrith found more frightening than any rage. My crew is 7 people, Cole said quietly. Maggie Harper is 23 years old. She became our navigator 6 months ago because she wanted to see the stars before going home to start a family. She has a picture of her parents on her desk, and she looks at it every night. Cole took another step forward, and this time Velrith moved aside. Danny Webb is our mechanic. He tells jokes that are so bad they make everyone groan. But he keeps telling them anyway because he likes to hear people laugh. He sends half of everything he earns back to his sister on Earth. She is raising 3 children by herself, and Danny would do anything for those kids. Cole was at the door now. He leaned against the frame for just a moment, gathering his strength. Grace Liu handles our communications. She's afraid of the dark, really, truly afraid. But she took this job anyway because she wanted to prove she was brave. And she's brave. She is one of the bravest people I have ever known. His voice never shook. His eyes never looked away. I could tell you about every single one of them. Their names. Their families. The things they dream about when they close their eyes at night. They trusted me to keep them safe. I failed once. I will not fail again. Velrith found that he could not speak. He had seen courage before, in many forms and from many species. But this was something different. This was something that went beyond bravery into a place he did not have words for. I am not asking for your help, Cole continued. I know you have no reason to risk your ship and your people for humans you have never met. I am only asking for a way off this ship. A small shuttle. Some basic supplies. I will do the rest myself. Narala appeared in the doorway behind him. Her wings were pressed flat against her back, a sign of deep worry among her people. Chief Medical Officer, she said. You cannot be thinking about letting him do this. But Velrith was thinking about it. He was thinking about everything he knew about medicine, about the limits of bodies and minds, about what was possible and what was not. He was thinking about the readings he had seen, the impossible strength hidden inside this soft-looking creature. What metal is this human made from? Velrith asked for the second time. But now the words sounded different. Now they held something like wonder. Cole seemed confused by the question. I do not understand. Never mind. Nareth turned to Narala. Bring him close. And call the captain. I think we need to have a discussion about our next destination. Cole's expression changed then. For just a moment, his calm mask slipped, and Velrith saw something beneath it. Surprise. Gratitude. Hope. You will help me? Cole asked. I did not spend 3 days keeping you alive, just to watch you die in some fool's mission, Velrith said. If you are going to do this thing, you will do it properly. With support. With planning. With at least a small chance of success. Why? Cole asked. You do not know me. You do not know my crew. Why would you risk anything for us? Velrith thought about the question for a long moment. He thought about his years as a healer, about all the beings he had saved and all the ones he had lost. He thought about what it meant to be a doctor in a galaxy full of violence and cruelty. Because you are my patient, he said finally. And a doctor's job is not just to heal the body. It is to protect the spirit. Your spirit will die if you do not try to save your people. I can see that clearly. So I will help you try. Cole Bradley, The human, who should have been dead 3 times over by now, reached out with his remaining hand. He placed it on Velreth's shoulder, a gesture that felt strange and warm against the Thraxian scales. "Thank you," Cole said. And those 2 simple words carried more weight than any speech could have. Narala watched this exchange with her large, dark eyes. Then she stepped forward, too. "I am coming with you," she said. "You will need a medic. Someone who can patch you up when you do something stupid and get hurt again. This is not your fight," Cole said. Narala's wings rose slightly, a sign of determination. "I have decided to make it my fight. That is my choice, not yours." Cole looked at these 2 aliens, these strangers who had pulled him from the wreckage of his ship and were now offering to follow him into danger. He did not have words for what he felt in that moment, but he did not need words. Some things were understood across all species, all languages, all the vast distances of space. Some things were simply known. The captain of the Serenity's Grace was also human. His name was Thorn Masterson, and he had commanded this medical ship for almost 15 years. He was an older man with gray hair at his temples and hands that never shook, no matter how difficult things became. He listened to Cole's story in complete silence, his face showing nothing. When Cole finished speaking, Thorn leaned back in his chair and looked at the ceiling for a long moment. "The Drekker ship that attacked you is called the Bone Collector," Thorn said finally. "It is commanded by a warlord named Krevax. He is wanted by 11 different governments for crimes I do not even want to describe. He is smart, he is cruel, and he has never lost a fight." Cole did not look away. "Can you track where they went?" "We already have. They are heading toward Drekker space, but to get there they have to pass through something called the Null Corridor. It is a dead zone, a stretch of space where communications do not work and no help can come. Ships travel through it quickly and quietly, hoping not to meet anyone else." Thorn stood up and walked to a window that showed the stars outside. If someone wanted to attack a Drekker ship, that would be the place to do it. No witnesses, no reinforcements, just the darkness and whatever you brought with you. "Then that is where I need to go," Cole said. Thorn turned back to face him. "You understand what you are asking. You want to attack a ship full of Drekker warriors. You have 1 arm, a body that is still healing, and no combat experience against that species. The odds of you surviving are very small." "I understand the odds," Cole replied. "I have to try anyway." "Why?" Thorn asked. "Most people would accept that their crew was lost. Most people would grieve and move on. It would be the smart thing to do." Cole was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke in a voice that was soft but steady. "When I was young, my father told me something I never forgot. He said that the measure of a person is not what they do when things are easy. It is what they do when things are hard. When everything tells them to give up. When the smart choice is to walk away." He looked at Thorn directly. "My crew trusted me. They followed me onto that ship because they believed I would take care of them. I failed to protect them from the attack. I will not fail to bring them home." A new voice spoke from the doorway. "I will go with you." Everyone turned to look. A massive figure stood there, nearly 8 feet tall, with skin like gray stone and eyes that glowed a soft amber color. This was Kroth, a Valorian who served as the ship's head of security. His people were known throughout the galaxy as some of the finest warriors ever born. "Why?" Cole asked. He seemed surprised that anyone else would want to join him. Kroth walked into the room. Each step he took made the floor shake slightly. He stopped in front of Cole and looked down at him with those strange, glowing eyes. 3 years ago, the Drekker raided my homeworld, Kroth said. His voice was deep and slow, like rocks grinding together. They came in the night and took many of my people. Among them was my daughter. She was 7 years old. Her name was Sarah, and she was afraid of thunderstorms but brave about everything else. Krath's hands, large enough to crush a human skull, curled into fists at his sides. I searched for her. For 2 years I searched. I followed every lead, every rumor, every whisper. I never found her. The Drekker swallowed her up like they swallow everything, and she was gone forever. Cole did not know what to say. He stayed silent and let Krath continue. I cannot bring my daughter back, Krath said. No amount of fighting or killing will change what happened to her. But perhaps I can help bring your people home. Perhaps I can give them the rescue that Sarah never had. Narala stepped forward. Her wings were held high now, a sign of determination rather than fear. I already told him I am coming. He needs a medic. Someone has to keep him alive long enough to actually finish this mission. Velrath spoke from behind her. I am too old for combat, and my fighting days ended long ago. But I can pilot a shuttle, and I can provide medical support from a safe distance. I will help however I can. Cole looked at all of them. A Thraxian doctor with 4 arms and silver scales. A small winged creature who worked as a medical assistant. A giant Valorian warrior made of living stone. And a human captain who had spent his life saving others. None of them had any reason to help him. None of them owed him anything. But here they stood, offering to risk their lives for his crew, for people they had never met. I do not know how to thank you, Cole said. His voice was thick with emotion he was trying to control. You can thank us by surviving, Torn said, and by bringing those 7 people home safe. The planning began immediately. Thorn provided maps of the Null Corridor and everything they knew about Drekker ships. Krath explained Drekker fighting techniques and the weaknesses in their defenses. Velrath prepared medical supplies and emergency treatments for every possible injury. Narala studied the layout of typical Drekker prison holds. Cole sat in the middle of all this activity and absorbed every piece of information. His body still ached. His missing arm still felt like it was there sometimes, a ghost of pain that would not leave. But his mind was sharp and focused, planning every step of what they would need to do. The key is speed, Krath explained, pointing to a diagram of a Drekker ship. We cannot fight all of them. There are too many. But if we move fast enough, we can reach the prisoners and escape before they can organize a proper response. What about Krevax? Cole asked. Will he just let us leave? Krath's amber eyes flickered. Krevax will try to stop us. He is a warrior, and his honor will not allow prisoners to escape. If he finds us, we will have to go through him. Then we go through him, Cole said simply. Krath looked at this human, this soft-skinned creature with 1 arm and a body covered in healing wounds. And for the first time in a long while, the old Valorian warrior smiled. Yes, Krath said. We go through him. The shuttle departed from the Serenity's Grace the next morning. It was a small ship, fast and quiet, designed for rescue missions in dangerous areas. Cole sat in the passenger area, checking the weapons Thorn had provided. Krath sat across from him, perfectly still, like a statue waiting to come to life. Narala was in the back, organizing her medical supplies. Velrath's voice came through the communication system, guiding them toward the Null Corridor. Remember, Velrath said, the most important thing is to come back alive. All of you. Do not be heroes. Be survivors. Cole touched the bandage where his left arm used to be. He thought about Maggie and Danny and Grace, and the 4 others still trapped on that Drekker ship. He thought about his father's words about doing what was right when everything was hard. We will come back, Cole said. All of us. I promise. The shuttle flew on into the darkness between the stars. The Null Corridor was the darkest place Cole had ever seen. No stars, no planets, no light at all except what came from their small shuttle. It was like flying through a black ocean that went on forever in every direction. Cole sat in the cargo hold, checking his equipment one more time. His missing arm had been replaced with a simple metal device, a basic tool that could grip things and hold a weapon. It was not pretty, and it was not comfortable, but it would work. That was all that mattered. Krath sat across from him, perfectly still. The Valorian had not moved for hours. He seemed to be meditating, preparing his mind for the violence to come. His gray skin looked like carved stone in the dim light of the shuttle. "Contact in 20 minutes. Narala's voice came from the cockpit. "I can see the bone collector on our sensors. It is exactly where Captain Masterson said it would be." Cole stood up and began to put on his armor. It was light protection, nothing that would stop a Drekker claw strike, but it would help against smaller wounds. Every advantage mattered. "I have studied Drekker ships for many years," Krath said, finally breaking his silence. "They have a weakness, and that weakness is pride. They believe they are better than all other species. They think no one would dare attack them. They will not expect resistance from prisoners, and they will not expect a small group to board their ship." "How many Drekker will be on board?" Cole asked. "Perhaps 50. Perhaps more." Cole felt his stomach tighten, but he did not let it show on his face. 50 warriors against 3 fighters and 1 medic. The numbers were terrible, but he had known that from the beginning. "We do not need to fight all of them," Cole said. "We find the prisoners, we free them, and we get out. Speed is everything. And if Krevax blocks our path?" Krath asked. Cole met the Valorian's glowing eyes. "Then I go through him." The shuttle approached the bone collector using a false distress signal. It was a trick that Thorn had suggested, something that might buy them a few extra seconds before the Drekker realized what was happening. Those seconds could mean the difference between life and death. The Drekker ship was huge and ugly, covered in spikes and sharp angles like some kind of metal beast. It looked exactly like what it was, a predator's vessel, designed to frighten and destroy. Their shuttle connected to one of the side ports with a loud clang. Cole felt his heart beating fast in his chest. This was it. No more planning. No more waiting. Time to act. The door opened, and Cole moved. He had trained for combat back on Earth, in military programs that most people never knew existed. He had learned how to fight, how to shoot, how to survive in situations where survival seemed impossible. But nothing could have truly prepared him for Drekker warriors. They were large, covered in thick scales, with claws that could cut through metal and teeth designed for tearing flesh. Their eyes were yellow and filled with a hunger that never seemed satisfied. They moved fast, faster than any creature their size should be able to move. But Cole moved too. The first Drekker guard fell before he even knew they were there. Cole's shot hit him perfectly, dropping him to the floor. The second guard turned and roared, charging forward with claws raised. Krath stepped in front of the attack. His stone-like body took the claw strike without flinching. Then his massive hand closed around the Drekker's throat and lifted him off the ground. "Which way to the prisoners?" Krath asked calmly. The Drekker struggled but could not break free. Finally, he pointed down a corridor to the left. Krath dropped him to the floor, unconscious but alive. "Move," Cole said, and they ran. The next minutes were chaos. Drekker warriors appeared from doorways and passages, drawn by the sounds of fighting. Cole shot some of them. Krath dealt with others using his incredible strength. Narala stayed behind them, treating any wounds they received and keeping them moving. Cole took hits that would have stopped other beings. A claw raked across his chest, opening wounds that had barely healed. A tail strike sent him crashing into a wall, cracking ribs that Volrath had only recently repaired. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his forehead, but he kept going. He could not stop. Every second they delayed was another second his crew suffered in the hands of these monsters. They found the prison hold in the lower part of the ship. It was a dark, terrible place that smelled of fear and pain. Cells lined the walls, and inside those cells were beings from many different species, all of them looking broken and hopeless. And there, in the largest cell, were 7 humans. Maggie Harper saw Cole first. Her eyes went wide with shock. She was thinner than he remembered, with bruises on her face and arms, but she was alive. Captain Bradley? Her voice cracked with disbelief. Cole broke the lock on their cell. We are leaving. All of you. Right now. Danny Webb limped forward, supporting Grace Liu, who had a dirty bandage wrapped around her head. The others followed, all of them moving slowly but moving nonetheless. How is this possible? Danny asked. We thought you were dead. They told us you were dead. Not yet, Cole said. And not today. He gave weapons to everyone who could use them and explained the plan quickly. Stay together. Move fast. Do not stop for anything. They fought their way back through the ship. The Drekker had organized now, and they were angry. Cole took 3 more wounds during the retreat. His prosthetic arm sparked and stopped working. His vision blurred from blood loss and exhaustion, but his people were behind him. Maggie and Danny and Grace and the 4 others. All of them fighting and running and refusing to give up. They were almost at the shuttle when Krevax found them. The Drekker warlord was the largest of his kind that Cole had ever seen. He stood in the corridor ahead of them, blocking their escape, his yellow eyes burning with rage. You dare, Krevax growled. You dare come onto my ship and take what is mine. They were never yours, Cole said. His voice was weak but steady. They are free people. They belong to no one. Krevax laughed, a horrible sound. Free? Nothing is free, human. Everything in this galaxy belongs to the strong. And you, little soft creature, you are weak. You are broken. You are dying. He was right about one thing. Cole was dying. He could feel it. His body had given everything it had, and there was almost nothing left. But almost nothing was not nothing. Krath, Cole said quietly. Get them to the shuttle. I will hold him here. No, Krath replied. We fight together. Krevax charged forward, a blur of scales and claws and teeth. Cole raised his weapon, knowing it probably would not be enough. Then Danny Webb shouted something from behind him, and Grace Liu threw something that exploded in a flash of bright light. Krevax screamed and stumbled, temporarily blinded. Krath hit him like a falling mountain. The 2 warriors crashed together, stone against scale, neither willing to give ground. Cole grabbed his crew and ran past them, heading for the shuttle door. Krath. Narala screamed. The Valorian was still fighting, still holding Krevax back, even as the Drekker's claws tore at his stone flesh. But he was losing. Even he could not defeat a warlord alone. Cole stopped at the shuttle door. He looked at his crew, safe now, already inside. Then he looked back at Krath, the warrior who had joined this mission to honor a daughter. He had lost. Cole turned and ran back into the fight. He hit Krevax from the side, driving his one remaining fist into the warlord's jaw. It was not a strong blow, not nearly enough to hurt such a creature, but it distracted him. Krath used that moment. His massive hands closed around Krevax's head, and he slammed the warlord into the floor so hard that the metal bent beneath them. Krevax did not get up. Cole and Krath stumbled together back to the shuttle. Narala was there, pulling them inside, already working on their wounds. The door closed. The shuttle detached, and they flew away into the darkness. Is everyone here? Cole asked. His voice was barely a whisper now. All 7, Krath confirmed. Your crew is safe. Cole smiled. Then his legs gave out and he collapsed to the floor. Narala rushed to his side, her wings moving frantically as she checked his injuries. Her face was pale. He has lost too much blood, she said. His body is failing. I do not know if I can save him. But even as she worked, even as his vision faded to black, Cole Bradley was still smiling. He had kept his promise. He had brought them home. The story spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass dot. It traveled from ship to ship, carried by traders and travelers who loved to share tales of wonder. It passed through space stations and planetary colonies, growing larger with each telling. It reached the great halls of the Galactic Union and the dark corners where criminals gathered. Everyone heard about the human who would not die. They said he had survived injuries that would have killed any other being. They said he had walked through fire and blood with only one arm and a body that was more wound than flesh. They said he had fought the terrible Krevax himself and lived to tell about it. Some said he was not really human at all. Some said he was made of some strange metal that did not exist anywhere else in the universe. Others said he was just lucky, blessed by forces that no one could understand. But those who had been there, those who had seen it with their own eyes, knew the truth. Cole Bradley was simply human. And being human, it turned out, was far more remarkable than anyone had realized. On the Serenity's grace. Vareth finished his medical report and then deleted it. He had written down everything that had happened. Every injury Cole had suffered. Every impossible recovery. Every moment when death should have claimed him, but somehow did not. It was the most complete record he had ever created. And then he erased it all. Some things cannot be explained by medicine, he told Moralo when she asked why. Some things are beyond the reach of science and data. If I put this in a report, people will try to study it. They will try to understand it. They will miss the point entirely. What is the point? Narawa asked. Valrath thought for a long moment before answering. The point is that we underestimate beings when we look only at their bodies. We measure their strength by the density of their bones and the power of their muscles. But there is something else inside them, something we cannot measure. Humans call it will or spirit or heart. Whatever name you give it, that is what kept Cole Bradley alive. Not his body. His soul. Narala's wings moved slowly as she considered this. Do you think other humans are like him? I think all humans have this potential, Valrath said. I think they simply do not know it until they are tested. And I think the galaxy has made a serious mistake by dismissing them as weak. Cole woke up 6 days after the rescue. He had been in a healing pod the entire time, floating in medical fluid while machines worked to repair his broken body. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was Krath sitting beside him, still as stone. You lived, Krath said. So did you, Cole replied. Krath made a sound that might have been a laugh. I am Valorian. We are difficult to kill. So are humans, apparently. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Cole was still weak, still damaged, but he was alive. That was more than he had expected when he first opened his eyes in this ship's medical bay. My crew? Cole asked finally. All safe. All healing. They have half-asked about you every day since we returned. Maggie Harper has barely slept. She sits outside this room and waits. Cale felt something warm in his chest. Not pain this time. Something better. Thank you, he said to Krath. For everything. For fighting beside me. For saving my life. Krath turned his amber eyes toward Cole. You saved my life too. When you came back, instead of running to safety. I did not expect that. You would have done the same for me. Yes, Krath agreed. But that is my nature. I am a warrior. Fighting is what I do. You are not a warrior. You're a captain of a cargo ship. And yet, you fought like you had nothing to lose. I had everything to lose, Cole said quietly. That is why I fought. The Serenity's Grace returned to Union space a week later. News of what had happened had already spread far and wide. When they docked at the nearest station, there was a crowd waiting for them. Reporters and officials and curious people from dozens of different species, all wanting to see the human who had done the impossible. Cole did not enjoy the attention. He answered questions when he had to and smiled when it was expected, but mostly he just wanted to see his crew and go home. Maggie Harper hugged him so hard that his healing ribs ached. She was crying and laughing at the same time, unable to find words for what she felt. Danny Webb shook his hand and could not stop thanking him. Grace Liu stood back, still quiet and watchful, but her eyes said everything her words could not. "You came for us," she said finally. "You should not have been able to, but you did." "I made a promise," Cole replied simply. Captains do not break their promises. The Galactic Union gave Cole a medal. They gave Krath one too, and Norala, and even Velroth received recognition for his role in the mission. There were ceremonies and speeches and important people saying important things. Cole barely noticed any of it. His mind was already somewhere else, thinking about what came next. He retired from spacefaring 6 months later. The injuries had healed as much as they were going to heal, but he knew his body was not the same as it had been. He had given everything he had in that Drekker ship. There was nothing left for another adventure. He found a small house on the coast of what had once been called Maine. On Earth, it sat on a cliff overlooking the ocean, with a view of water that seemed to go on forever. Cole spent his days sitting on the porch, watching the waves, listening to the sound of gulls crying in the wind dot. It was a quiet life. A peaceful life. After everything that had happened, it was exactly what he needed. His crew kept in touch. Maggie Harper sent him pictures of her wedding a year later. She had married a nice young man she met at the space station, and they were expecting their first child. Danny Webb named his son Cole after the captain who had saved his life. Grace Liu wrote a book about their experience, and it became required reading at the Union Medical Academy. Krath visited once a year. He would arrive without warning, his massive form appearing on Cole's porch like some ancient statue come to life. They would sit together for hours, watching the ocean, saying very little. Words were not needed between them. Some bonds went deeper than language. "They still tell stories about you," Krath said during one of these visits. "Among my people, among the Thraxians and even the Drekker themselves, they call you the Unbreaking. They say you must be made of some metal that exists nowhere else in the universe." Cole smiled and sipped his coffee. The cup felt warm against his fingers, a simple comfort that he had learned to appreciate. "I'm just a man, Krath. I got lucky." Krath's amber eyes studied him for a long moment. "No," the Valorian said finally. "You are human. And that, I think, is something far more remarkable than luck." The sun was setting over the Atlantic, painting the sky in shades of orange and red and gold. Cole Bradley, the man who should have died a dozen times over, sat in his chair and watched the light fade. He thought about his father's words, spoken so long ago about doing what was right when everything was hard. He thought about Maggie and Danny and Grace, safe now, living their lives, building their futures. He thought about Krath, still searching for something to fill the hole left by a daughter lost forever. And he thought about what it meant to be human. They were soft. Yes, fragile compared to many species. Their lives were short and their bodies were easily broken. But there was something inside them that could not be measured by any machine. Something that made them stand up when they should stay down. Something that made them fight when they should run. Something that made them believe in impossible things. The stars were coming out now, appearing one by one in the darkening sky. Cole looked up at them and smiled. Somewhere out there, in the vast darkness between those tiny lights, the legend was still growing. A story about a human who would not surrender. A man who walked through fire to bring his people home. What metal is this human made from? The answer was simple. They were made from hope and determination, from love and loyalty, from the stubborn refusal to give up. No matter how bad things got, they were made from everything that made them human. And that, as it turned out, was stronger than any metal in the universe. Cole finished his coffee and watched the last light fade from the sky. Tomorrow there would be another sunrise, another day of peace, earned through pain and sacrifice. For now, that was enough. For now, that was everything.